Real estate leaders closely watching the New York City mayoral race that's currently underway, the election that is. Our next guest says there's a wait-and-see mentality among some buyers and investors as they weigh potential policy changes. Frances Katzen joins us now. She's a top broker at Douglas Elliman here in New York City, founder of the Katzen team. And I gotta say, if you really believe that Zoran Mamdani is likely to win and is gonna put a cap on the rents that you're allowed to charge for your property, I can imagine you wouldn't want to buy in this market.
I'm not seeing it quite that way. I don't think it's so black and white. I definitely think there's a pause. Anytime you have an election, people sit back. But just like COVID, there were people that came in and took full advantage and valued that as a very opportunistic time. But, that kind of taxation and impact does put people on their heels. It does. There's no question.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I feel like we have had these moments before, whether it's an experience like COVID or it's different, mayoral administrations, if you will. How does this period in time, though, the conversations that we're having right now around this mayoral election compare to maybe past election cycles?
This is a very historic one. It basically creates a complete antithesis of what this city is based on. It's a capital hub. And so the legislation and policies that are being introduced, while they're idealistic, I'm not sure they will be fitting for a city that is based on somewhat of a capitalistic drive. It's Darwinism at its finest, really.
Why are prices so high? I mean, I get that very rich people are going to want to live on, Park Avenue or Riverside Drive, but New York City is not small. There are millions of apartments here. How come the average cost is like $4,500 a month?
I think that we have an inefficiency. We have a sensitivity to pricing right now. We have an affordability issue, and then we have a lack of inventory issue, which keeps the prices elevated for the mainstream market. The 2 to 4 million, which is that main hub that wants to get in, are the ones that are relying on rates. And when you have inflation driven by tariffs, and those rates are not meeting that market, it's a real issue. It's a divided issue.
You mean 2 to 4 million people, or you mean in the price?
That price point.
So what the average group coming in wants to pay $2 to $4 million for?
Well, I think New York is very expensive. It's its own ecosystem. And so what you're looking for is as much space, as you say, the commodity of space. And that's kind of that market right now in Manhattan. That's how expensive it is.
Yeah, it's massive, because even if you're making $400,000 a year, you're not covering that nut.
Yeah. Welcome to 60% of the buys that took place over $3 million. They were all cash, which tells you the segment of the market of wealth.
Well, that's the thing. It feels like cash bids are becoming more and more commonplace. That used to be a differentiating factor, and now it's almost become the norm, especially when you're talking about that $2 to $4 million price range.
Correct, it is. It's a big component of what I think sellers want to meet the market. I think the problem is there's a supply issue. It's still below historical norms. And I think that people understand the valuation of getting into a market like New York, even with this kind of policy change that we're looking at.
All right, Frances, really fascinating conversation. Some dizzying numbers, certainly. That is Frances Katzen. She is a top broker over at Douglas Elliman in New York City and founder of the Katzen team.